So this is day two of I give a PM speech a day, where I prep a motion for 15 minutes and I try to just sort of give a PM speech based on it. So the motion before us today is the House believes that the feminist movement should support the narrative that beauty does not matter over the narrative that all bodies are beautiful. So let me just start the time. Greetings, everyone. So, if we look at our world today, we see that there are a lot of fundamental issues as to how beauty is perceived. We do understand and acknowledge that a lot of people face bullying and harassment over beauty standards that have been set very arbitrarily, and it causes a lot of issues. It causes a lot of harm in the society. We in person are trying to change that, and we in person as part of the feminist movement are trying to benefit these people and are trying to make changes that are better for everyone. So we have two particular arguments to give in this motion as to why we prefer the standard of beauty does not matter over beauty, all bodies are beautiful. The first argument that we'll give is that taking this stance is principally consistent with the feminist movement, and it's very important to discredit the idea of beauty in itself. The second point argument that we'll make is that it gets the point across better and it helps the people who we are trying to help, who the feminist movement is trying to help in itself. Okay, before we start, we need to make sure who our stakeholders are. Our stakeholders in this debate for sure are women, whether they are the most vulnerable women who are affected negatively because they do not meet this arbitrary standard of beauty set by the society, or whether it's just women in general who are actively harmed by considering and trying to conform to these beauty standards and trying to work upon them, right? Let me go over with my first argument. Before I start, let's take a look at what the concept of beauty is. We have to understand that the concept of beauty originates from a male dominant patriarchal society. It was established through male eyes and male subjectivity in societies where male mostly dominated how the worldview looked like and how they decided how these things will go along. It has been a result of long history of men only considering women as objects of sexual nature or nature to propose or to please or appeal to male eyes or just male intuition in general. And because of this, these standards of beauty have been set over time, often at times negatively. We even see in literature, Victorian literature, where the male characters would just go off and talking about the beauty of female characters, often at times discarding other characters who were around there. So these standards of beauty we are trying to establish has been solely set across through male eyes and male standard in patriarchal societies. And because of this, we claim that this beauty in itself is a non-legitimate concept. And we acknowledge that while women may also believe in these beauty standards, and while women may also decide on the idea of what is beautiful and what is not, uh, their understanding is a bit skewed and distorted because of years of male conditioning, because of coercive peer pressure, where they recognize that, oh, these things are beautiful, these things are not, where they want to gain popularity or just be pleasing to other people, or in respect to just get romantic partners. In those regards, these beauty standards have been conditioned into their minds through years of conditioning into living in a patriarchal society, because they start labeling that, oh, XYG characteristic is more pleasing to men, and they start conforming to it. And therefore, we believe that it is more consistent with the movement to de-establish the concept of beauty in itself from the very start and just appeal that physical appearance does not matter. Uh, while going with the narrative that all bodies are beautiful definitely brings some benefit to the most vulnerable, it conforms and retains the concept of beauty, which in itself, as we have proved, is completely flawed and it's based on immoral premises. The narrative we're trying to spread helps establish that people are more than their physical appearance and have more to them than just what they look like, instead of just claiming that this beauty standard belongs to everyone while leaving some level of arbitrary vagueness, which has led to interpretation where people might be like, oh, beauty, everyone is beautiful, but someone's more beautiful than the other, the concept of beauty. And that can in itself harm these things, which will lead to my second argument soon. Finally, to end this on a note, like we have to understand that feminist movement has taken a lot of stances based on what is principally and morally correct, and based on that, taken stances which, even though practically may not achieve many things, it's just fighting for the rights that are very important. The second argument that we're trying to make here is that it gets the point across better and it helps the people that we need to help the most, through which we'll discuss the impacts of making this, supporting this narrative. The current narrative of like all bodies are beautiful has some problems it has hard time dealing with. The first one being false confirmation. While a lot of people do support the narrative, the existence of the concept of beauty causes contradiction. This may like because you've grown up with the concept of beauty embedded in you over time, and there is still some concept of beauty, even though you may say all bodies are beautiful, you might conform to the standard. You might say they may actually consider someone not beautiful and then just say, oh, you are beautiful, just solely for this purpose of appeasement, which may often at times be patronizing to that person with regards. Or oh, they're trying to like be the narrative, but in itself they are trying to conform those beauty standards. They're trying to conform to just like get better aesthetically pleasing by those beauty standards and try to like get more attractive or these sort of things. And in that regard, they just keep falling into these standards and getting problematically dealt with themselves, uh, though it might be subconscious. And when that happens, you do not actually help these people, because even though you might establish that, oh, your body is beautiful, there's still a concept of comparative beauty. There's still a concept of beauty that has been embedded in the mind. So we believe it's important to be establish the concept of beauty in itself. And again, it's harder to change the notion if you believe in, as you said, if you believe in beauty standards set across the years, it's just harder to get. But it's very easy to do if beauty didn't exist in the first place, right? Because if you look at the impact, right, we are helping the vulnerable people because the concept of beauty doesn't exist in the society anymore. But just try to imagine a society where beauty did not exist. By decrediting the concept of beauty right now, the kids that will grow in future societies, just try to imagine a society where beauty does not exist. All the future generation, everyone will not understand, have a concept of beauty, which means we will be able to judge people by something other than what their physical appearance is. And I think by doing so we help them the most. Proud to propose